Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Zelda 2 Randomizer Max Rando tournament match here in the booth. I have not RoseCitySaint. I have Frico and Melee Wizard, and I'll let him take over here.
Thank you, Shadow Magi. We've made it to our final four runners, and things are gonna get very interesting from this point onwards, no doubt.
Oh yeah, we got ourselves a salty run back for our fourth place match. This happened in the winner's bracket a couple rounds ago. Knightcrawler took the W, and here we are. Fourth place for the loser. The winner moves on to face Buzz Thunder in what will be the loser's final. The loser ends up in third place. The winner, I'm not sure if they really win much of anything, but they get a date with Trails in the grand final. So we'll see how that ends up working as our runners get underway.
Oh yeah, we got some high-end runners for this one, and we're starting with some decent stuff. We got the boots and the cross, and we have reflect fairy and shield.
Oh, it looks like a couple of those were spell item slots too. So
indeed.
So yeah, it looks like trophy and medicine are going to be off the table, as is starting with 8 blocks of health. So we're going to see a lot of P bags. So that's 4, 5, 6, at least 8 500-point P bags distributed about as both of our runners find the Great Palace straight away.
Well, that's not a bad place to find it, really, because once you get that last gem, you can just pretty much up A and head right to GP.
Yeah, that definitely will help. What I see is 2 palaces left on the Western continent, so that brings the raft into play. 4 gems. So, assuming we're able to complete the 2 palaces, or maybe we just say heck it and find the raft, go to the Eastern continent, finish everything over there, and head back to our Great Palace.
And RoseCitySaint finding Trophy Cave and finding one of our many, many P bags.
Well, the one good thing is we know the raft has to be in the Western continent. So our endless buffet line of P bags at least can't be entirely on the West Coast.
But there's nothing stopping it from being tucked away in a very nasty location.
No, like Spectacle Rock.
P5.
Yeah.
As in, we've only seen one of our palaces. Who knows what the other 2 are?
Well, hopefully our runners shouldn't have too much of an issue with exploration. It looks like Knightcrawler has encountered, at least on the map, the location of one of them, but I don't believe we can get to it yet.
But we found Raruru, so there's just going to be a new spell for us right off the bat.
Yeah, it looks like, Thunder could be required.
Could. It's not the sort of thing you want to enter. You don't necessarily want to enter GP without it, because it's a risky play for sure.
Very true. It looks like Knightcrawler realizing that Error knows nothing. RoseCitySaint picking up a spell. Life?
The life spell.
Definite quality of life upgrade.
And with 8 hearts, we could definitely get some use out of that, especially if it ends up being rather strong this seed.
Now, it can be between 1 and 4 blocks of life, if I'm not mistaken.
1 to 5, I think.
Oh wow! that's even more of a bonus. It looks like RoseCitySaint making his way to the Mystery Palace that I had pointed out earlier, so we'll see what is hiding behind door number 3.
We've also found an entrance to Death Mountain, and that is P1.
Well, that looks like RoseCitySaint gonna jump on in, see if the water's warm. Should be a fairly easy item. It does have all of the keys available. Well,
I mean,
Randomizer being what it is.
We also do have the fairy spell, so that kind of helps in that regard.
Very true. I don't know how many casts we're going to get of fairy. I did not notice the cost.
I didn't either. And looks like Knightcrawler has found Medicine Cave.
Well, hopefully, the big ticket item right now, I would assume, is the glove and the raft.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Hammer definitely would open up a couple spots, as there was a hammer-blocked cave. RoseCitySaint almost immediately finding Horsehead. Thought about just about facing, but looks like he'll take down Horsehead. Ooh, Knightcrawler finding a P-bag. I think he'll still take it, though.
Yeah, this early on, 500-point P-bags are pretty valuable.
So, RoseCitySaint getting almost nothing from Horsehead, but our first gem being placed about 5 minutes, 40 seconds in.
Now it's just a matter of whether, RoseCitySaint's going right back in to hunt down that item. And there's actually there's a second mystery dungeon here. Looks like Knightcrawler's heading for that one.
Wow, so we will know exactly what's in the Western continent, which will then tell us what's in the Eastern continent. At least in the way of palaces. Ooh, RoseCitySaint finding a no-fly zone there.
And that is either 3 or 6. And there's the raft spot right close by.
That's convenient. Looks like it's fairly quickly accessible with the boots by just going south.
And RoseCitySaint finding the item cave. What do we have?
Ooh. A pain in the butt monster. Ooh, 500-point P-bag.
Yeah, P-bag. And I noticed that fairy cost 48, which I believe is an even three blocks of magic. So you only get one cast of it at the moment.
Yeah, looks like we're gonna have to do a little bit of leveling up before find. I guess it's an and/or statement here for finding magic jars and/or leveling up. Potentially get that fairy down to the point where we can cast it twice.
One nice thing is that shield only, at least for RoseCitySaint at Magic 3, it only costs 17 for shield.
Well, it looks like Knightcrawler's a little more interested in exploring this cave, or the palace, going in. RoseCitySaint finding the same P-bag that Knightcrawler did previously.
Looks like RoseCitySaint has a bit of a level advantage. We have 3-3-4 versus, it's now 4-2-2, though Knightcrawler did go out and invest in attack 4, so that'll definitely help a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like Knightcrawler may end up taking a provisional lead of sorts. RoseCitySaint trying to make it to the palace and reset his spawn timer for the overworld enemies. Not quite able to get there.
Yeah, swamps are good for that.
Realizing, wait a second, I've been here already. No?
No, I think that was his first time seeing it. But since it's a 3 or 6, and without the glove, it's not necessarily the place you want to be.
Fair point. So Knightcrawler going to take down Horsehead
with like no health at all. So that just, although considering that as many lives as our runners have this time around, it's even sacrificing 1 life to Horsehead is not that big of a deal.
No. It looks like Knightcrawler going to do some spelunking and finding the ferry. RoseCitySaint, is he, it looked like he was in, like, a Death Mountain cave.
I know there was one entrance to Death Mountain over by P1. I didn't see a second entrance to it. But he is taking a pass-through cave, since apparently the initial area was just one big loop.
Oh, Knightcrawler actually investing in the room RoseCitySaint immediately noped out of, finding a 200-point P-bag. So, Knightcrawler throwing away a little bit of time here, potentially.
Potentially, yes.
But
we'll see if he ends up keeping the experience, because that'll be the biggest determinant whether it was actually...
Well, it looks like he's just about faced and went back to slam dunk the crystal.
Fair enough.
Looks like attack 5. I can't fathom magic 3 or life 3 costing 1530.
Yeah, no doubt. So, yeah, just investing in the attack 5, that was well worth it.
So there we go, attack 5 for Knightcrawler already. And it looks like Knightcrawler going back. Unfortunately for him, it will... Well, fortunately or not, we'll see. But only going to be a 500-point P-bag awaiting him.
Right, because he's still looking for the item, yeah. That is going to be a bit of a time sink.
So at this point, our runners are both at 1 crystal each. This seed requires 4 crystals to be placed.
Yep.
Now, one issue RoseCitySaint had was that he could not defeat that chain flinger and had to ferry through, saw the 500-point P-bag and went, not interested.
Alright, and Saria has the jump spell.
Alright, so 1-1. RoseCitySaint making our next bit of progression, picking up jump. So I've not seen the runners use upstab or downstab as of yet.
They don't have them.
Okay. So that's going to be a little bit of a pit stop.
Well, neither one has seen Mido either, so... And the fact that they have Fairy means they'll be able to pick up downstab regardless.
That's very true.
And I saw RoseCitySaint finding the other cave to Death Mountain, and was about as pleasant as the first one.
Oof. So we may have ourselves a bit of a necessary evil in Death Mountain. Great equalizer of sorts. RoseCitySaint finding the left side of Saria.
So at this point, Mido is actually the only town we haven't seen yet. Since RoseCitySaint did find Rudo, but we already have the spell out of there, so there's no point in sticking around. Yeah, it looked like there was a path across the water down there to get to the area that RoseCitySaint's in, but apparently Knightcrawler decided not to go that way.
Well, we'll see. I mean, this seed is almost entirely about exploration and what you're going to end up finding. Oh, RoseCitySaint all over the place here. Might be that weird, obscure area where it's like, oh, you need to use the boots to get to this random place that's so remote.
Well, I mean, RoseCitySaint took a pass-through cave to get to this region of things.
Well, and he's in another cave, but I believe he was almost right next to a town. Oh no. And he ended up right back where he was before.
Yeah, I think you might have thought this was that was Hard Container Cave, maybe, but it got debated a little bit.
So this is well, RoseCitySaint found the town he was looking for, so this should be downstab for RoseCitySaint.
Most definitely. Won't need the spell, but at least we'll see if there's a... Ooh, Ebenak rides with the magic key.
Alright, so Palace 3 has the magic key.
And we know there's one... We know a palace that's either 3 or 6.
Well, that could incentivize the final palace on the west coast.
Possibly. Of course, like I said, we'd have to actually go inside to see whether it is 3 or 6, and we'll see if that's... We'll see if either of our... see if RoseCitySaint decides to try to pursue that bit of information.
Well, I believe RoseCitySaint knows where the palace is.
Yeah, it's just a matter of whether he wants to actually go there to find out if it's 3 or 6, and whether it's worth it to dig the item out of 3 if it is.
Well, you know you're going to have to go into 2 more palaces. There's no keys in the Great Palace, so that's out. Ooh, RoseCitySaint finding a magic jar.
Always a wonderful thing to see. Yep, and question in chat. Yep, Earth Runner started with 4 lives, max health.
Fairy starting at 48. So castable right off the bat. So the seed's basically going, alright, we want you in the dungeons. Get in there, big boy. So what I'm hoping for is actually that our dungeon is P6. Not P3.
This time this is Hard Container Cave. And I think Knightcrawler's, yeah, I think he's looking for hints. Ooh, in a maze lies the hammer.
Ooh, hello. So Maze Island, gonna whack the hammer with the hammer.
Mm-hmm. And Hard Container Cave had a magic container.
That works. So quest for the raft in Death Mountain, it looks like.
It's starting to look that way. There's 2 caves unaccounted for. I know at least one is hammerlocked. So Death Mountain seems like it's a good chance that it's there somewhere.
Well, we have to get the raft first, so it looks like what else could possibly have the raft aside from Hammer Cave at this point? Enlighten me, please.
Well, there's P-Bag Cave and Magic Container Cave, which we haven't seen. I know there's at least one Hammerlock Cave, so that's likely one of them. For all I know, maybe they're both hammerlocked. I just didn't notice.
Well, we've got Spectacle Rock that requires a hammer. Mm-hmm. We've got a couple boulder block caves. They require the hammer.
Right. So it's either a hammer cave or the dungeon. Or the pallet, the 3-6, which would presume that would be P6.
Yeah, that would need us to see that being P6. Knightcrawler finding the first of the 2 magic jars that have been revealed to us by RoseCitySaint. It looks like RoseCitySaint jumping into Death Mountain.
Yeah, he's exploring it for a little bit. But thankfully, the the first cave that you're kind of shoehorned into leads to a good bit of options.
Well, for RoseCitySaint, it looks like Knightcrawler got the news about the location of our magic key.
It's just a matter of what our runners do with that information, and RoseCitySaint finds a dead end.
Yeah, there's a question in the chat. What does it mean with 4 gems? You want to take that one?
Yep. Basically, normally in the vanilla game, your objective is to go through all 6 palaces, place the gems there before going into Great Palace. In this particular seed, we only have 4 gems to place. So once we clear 4 palaces, then we'll have access to GP.
And we already know where Great Palace is.
Yes. Of course, there can always be some nasty things inside. There often is.
Yeah. Very true.
RoseCitySaint not having much luck trying to find Hammer Cave just yet. There's 2 options left. Oops, down to 1. Still nothing.
Oof.
Alright, got no choice but to start digging through. Hope to find the right place.
Yeah, so I'm actually a little surprised that RoseCitySaint hasn't gone looking for the final palace, or he may have just deduced that it's Palace 3. The key is there, and that's not what he's looking for. I do not recall RoseCitySaint doing much more than just looking at the 3-6 palace.
I mean, to be fair, Knightcrawler pretty much did the same thing.
True, and then they get the hint afterward. So it feels like they're going, okay, this palace is either 6 and glove blocked, or 3 and has the magic key, so, sorry, no thank you.
Especially when you don't have the glove, because there's no guarantee you'd even be able to get it out of there in the first place.
So it feels like the next item we're going to find either has to be the hammer or the raft.
Although apparently RoseCitySaint found Hammer Cave and I just didn't realize it.
Well, let's see what we got, because it feels like it has to be the hammer or the raft, and it's the raft.
Well, we know the hammer's on Maze Island.
Ah, right, yes. Excuse me. I was thinking glove, not,
Ah, yes.
Like, wait, yeah, you use a hammer to break blocks. Not in this game, you use the glove to break the blocks. Which are different from the boulders that we see on Knightcrawler's side of the screen, as he has Spectacle Rock down in the bottom left corner of his map.
Looks like it's not. That's not easily accessible either.
No, but I'm gonna go with RoseCitySaint on this one, and the seed is telling him to go east, young man. Go east.
Yeah. You don't really have very good options for what to do at this point, so just go to where you can do more stuff, at the very least.
Well, Palace 1's off the menu. We have Reflect, but we know 2, 4, and 5 are guaranteed to be on the eastern continent, and the other of the 3-6 palaces is going to be on the east.
Right, and looks like RoseCitySaint is going to scout out this palace, so we'll see which one this is. And it's 6.
So that's a negative. RoseCitySaint figuring out that it's 6. We may end up seeing it just because of the potential need of an item, particularly the glove at this point. We know the hammer is in Maze Island, if I recall the hint correctly.
And look, I saw Knightcrawler just use life. Looks like it was the vanilla 3 bars. Alright, so RoseCitySaint is our first to head to the east and see what kind of loveliness we have, because under these flags, 3-Eye Rock could be possible, and Hidden Kusuto could be possible. And we don't have the means of accessing either one right now.
No, New Kusuto, which is the hidden Kusuto town, would be requiring the hammer, and 3-Eyed Rock would require the flute. And as we can see, neither runner has the flute nor the hammer.
Although the flute wouldn't necessarily be required unless it blocked a palace that had the glove, or if the River Devil decides to do his job.
Well, RoseCitySaint found a Peabag Cave on the east side, and finding a Peabag.
Yeah, funny how that works.
Yeah. So for those joining in late, the items that are taken out of the item pool, which would be the cross, boots, trophy, and the medicine, as they are not required or given to the runner.
Not to mention 4 of the 4 heart containers, since we already started with them all.
Yes, so that actually will add 8 total 500-point P-bags, and RoseCitySaint finding another 500-point P-bag.
Which wasn't actually part of the item pool, that one's always there.
And it looks like a 1-up doll for RoseCitySaint in Eastern Stonehenge. So the remaining items are going to be few and far between. Maze Island has 2 items, one of which we know to be the hammer. Palace 3 we know to be the magic key.
And there's another P-bag. Oh boy.
So we may end up going into all of the dungeons. Looks like we found Palace 5 for RoseCitySaint.
Yes, we did. That was a big nope for Palace 5, and I don't blame him.
Well, it looks like, yeah, with 2 palaces out in plain sight, that removes 3-Eyed Rock from contention.
Well, there's Palace 3, and here's the Valley of Death, so that's got to be either 2 or 4.
Well, I'm almost hoping it's 4 at this point, just to be able to, finish another palace at this point. Because we're otherwise looking at, jumping into a really ugly scenario where you're going to try to find the glove in a potentially glove-blocked palace. That's not a great situation to be in.
No, definitely not. And that is Palace 2, and RoseCitySaint is going to say, screw it, I'm go diving in.
Yeah, may as well.
And that means P4 is vanilla.
Yeah, Maze Island for P4. So that will incentivize, at least I would think incentivize, RoseCitySaint navigating one of the potential glove blocks.
Nicely done. Knightcrawler is still diving through Death Mountain. Has not found Hammer Cave yet.
Now, unfortunately, Knightcrawler is losing a little bit of time here, so just unfortunate for Knightcrawler that he could have made up some time with, potentially taking a bit of a risk and going, okay, I'm pretty sure I need the thing from Death Mountain here, so let's do it.
Hey, to be fair, he's right. In that thought. Just unfortunately, looks like he's having a bit more trouble trying to make his way through here compared to RoseCitySaint.
Yeah, Knightcrawler made a conscious decision to emphasize his attack levels.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not sure if... oh, no. Knightcrawler up and A-ing, so getting out of Death Mountain.
Yeah, that's
if this sends him over to the palace, that's going to be horrible. Oh, no. RoseCitySaint getting chain-flingered again, so...
and that's the flute.
RoseCitySaint picking up the flute in Palace 2, not the most impressive item.
No, but that's one or two potential blocks that are no longer an issue.
That is true. Well, Three-Eyed Rock isn't.
Well, we know Three-Eyed Rock's not possible because all the palaces are accounted for now. But
yes,
if say the River Devil is in the way of getting to Maze Island, for example, that could have been an issue.
That definitely could be an issue. I will not doubt that. But oh, Knightcrawler, you're gonna have to end up in Death Mountain, big boy, because that's where the raft is. Unless he's got something else in mind. Yeah, no raft.
Oh my goodness, the Dripper enemies are the Magos.
Ew.
500 experience, I think. Wow. If you needed to grind, that would have been very nice, but I think our runners are fine at this point.
I'd almost go back if I were RoseCitySaint, clap one of them, and get a double level up here.
Yeah, possibly. But that is our second gem for RoseCitySaint.
Yeah, so let's see. Magic 5, and it looks like Magic 6 is 10 points less expensive than Life 6. As RoseCitySaint now going to make his way out of the Valley of Death. Ooh, missing a fairy feat, so he's going to have to encounter skip the Valley of Death.
And, Knightcrawler has gone back into Death Mountain, going through the other... I believe he went through the other entrance, although he's pretty much going through the same stuff he was going through before.
No, RoseCitySaint slashed 3 times instead of 4. Oh, he still got the encounter anyway. That's fortunate. Oh, RoseCitySaint's out of there. Oh, and he can't loop around to the side. The map just blocking him off.
Oof.
So it is entirely possible the River Devil could be a thing here. RoseCitySaint.
He's deciding to dive into 3. We know what the item is, and I guess as long as you don't hit the glove block, everything will be fine.
Oh, RoseCitySaint checking to make sure he had a key before using Fairy. Could have just wasted.
Wise move.
Yeah.
Didn't want to risk wasting his magic. Yeah.
Oh, and he found a glove block room straight away. So that's a big wah wah wah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So RoseCitySaint almost certain to go into Maze Island at this point.
Once we find it, yes.
Yeah, might be a couple stops along the way, like a Teabag Cave. Foregoing the lava tile. Rose City
Well,
Saint
there's not a major item there anyway. But we do find new Kasuto.
Wow. So 6 or less magic containers for the old lady to cough up an item.
And there's the glove.
Wow. That's a big one.
Oh, darn right. That's pretty much free reign at this point. I think that would that be Thunder contingent go mode, I guess you could say.
Thunder potentially upstab?
Yeah.
I mean, they are edge cases. There's no guarantee that they are required. Thunderbird could be on a route that is not the standard, but...
Yeah, but you don't want to find that out the hard way, and that's the fire spell.
Alright, so we'll see what that's linked to. Could be spell. Didn't look like jump, shield, or fairy.
Nope.
He had full life, but it looks like RoseCitySaint believes it's the spell.
Let's find out. It is not.
Negative. Thunder?
Well, if you use it again in a room with enemies, we'll find out.
So RoseCitySaint could have Thunder here.
Yes.
I'm not sure what other spell it could be linked to at this point. It wasn't spell, but RoseCitySaint going straight into Palace 4.
It's not Thunder.
Life? Oh.
Not Life either, so it's probably Reflect at this point.
Yeah, I guess it would be Reflect. So, fire a little bit of a whammy here, being Reflect linked.
Well, I mean, if it's cheap, well, hello, Karok. It's definitely cheaper than Reflect normally is. And yep, that confirms
Well, yeah. Karok just right there. But I think RoseCitySaint's going to have to go looking for an item. And it looks like he's on the... Ooh, interesting. RoseCitySaint may or may not be going for an item here. Just deciding, alright, place my gems and be done with at this point.
Well, I mean, as far as items are concerned, we know where the hammer is. So what exactly would we be looking for as far as items are concerned? If anything, the only item that would be helpful right now is if Thunder was in Darunia.
Well, RoseCitySaint just noped out of Maze Island, and that's where the hammer is.
Yeah.
So
as
I
mentioned,
guess...
the only other things we know where the hammer is. We know where the key is. The only two items left are the candle and the lost child.
Yeah, I guess a coin flip perhaps, as if the child was there. I mean, it would really suck if the child led to Thunder, and that's buried in Palace 4, but...
Well, we're about to find out, since RoseCitySaint just found Naburu, so 50-50 shot. This is either Spell or Thunder.
Yeah. So let's see which way the dice fall for RoseCitySaint here.
Big bucks, no whammies indeed.
And
it's the spell, and it's spell.
And a whammy. Oh, I used to love that show.
Same. So we know Thunder is in Darunia. We haven't actually found Darunia yet, but we also need the lost child. I think RoseCitySaint might be heading back to Maze Island to dig that stuff out.
Oh, and the River Devil blocking something.
Blocking
Don't know what, but...
If anything, blocking a convenience maybe. And nope, RoseCitySaint's is skipping past Maison. I wonder. He's not going to GP because he would have up 8 for sure.
Absolutely. Well, he's only got 3. He's got to dunk another gem.
True.
So I think he's going down to where the 2 palaces were. I think he's ruled out Palace 3 because... Or actually, he can go into Palace 3. He has the glove now.
Yeah, he has the glove. And he might dig out the key just as a convenience. Just in case...
Why bother?
Just in case the lost child is in P5 or something.
I mean, there's a couple, you know. I think from all of the runs I've done this year, it's been about a 25, maybe 30% chance of Thunderbird being a thing. And I'm almost certain RoseCitySaint will just go, or at least attempt to go, straight to the boss, finish off Karok, and then head straight to Great Palace and just say, no thank you to even bothering with the key, because he won't need it once he's done with this dungeon.
And unfortunately, Knightcrawler is still having trouble navigating through Death Mountain. It looks like he's kind of going around in circles at this point, and that's... You hate to see it.
Yeah. Unfortunate for Knightcrawler, but... It is Max Rando, and sometimes you just get thrown for a loop, and, this is unfortunately the result of what's going to happen for Knightcrawler cannot find the raft. We know it is in Death Mountain. He will not be able to proceed through the rest of the seed. And I think he knows it at this point.
I would say, at this point, the primary thing that can get Knightcrawler back in this race is if Thunder is required and the Lost Child is on Spectacle Rock. 'Cause I don't think RoseCitySaint has found a way to that yet. I think he found Hammer Cave before finding the way to Spectacle Rock.
That, you could be right. I mean, there are a couple edge cases here. Because it is Randomizer, well, RoseCitySaint seems to have found Rebanak, so this will be his 4th crystal, and he should be into the Great Palace fairly shortly. This should not be a very difficult fight.
Yeah, the Rebanek getting knocked off his horse rather quickly, probably quicker than RoseCitySaint thought he would. But that is gem number 4, and RoseCitySaint will likely take this level, whatever this was, and...
Life 6.
Life 6, okay, that's not bad. And we'll probably up A and head... Yep, he's heading straight for GP.
So what we need for Knightcrawler to come back in is either an upstab block and or a Thunderbird requirement.
Right. Because we never even found Darunia. Although, to be fair, basically the area west of Naburu was never explored. So, but at a hair over 43 minutes, RoseCitySaint enters Great Palace.
So this is not looking good for Knightcrawler. He's going to need a little bit of help here. Knightcrawler is in Death Mountain trying to fish out the raft, but he has somehow gotten himself lost for a significant amount of time.
Yeah.
And, well, tick-tock goes the clock, unfortunately. Knightcrawler, 3 palaces behind at this point. And just about every cave at this point has been explored by Knightcrawler.
Feels that way.
RoseCitySaint finding a dead end.
Yeah, and had already. Oh, there it is. Knightcrawler finds. Oh man, that would. I saw there was basically just one way to get there.
Oof. Well, Knightcrawler's agony is over. I'm going to assume at this point with 634 levels, he will have little issue with getting to the raft.
And RoseCitySaint contemplating his options here, decided not to take the elevator after seeing what was on the other side. And now we got a waffle room.
Well, it doesn't look too bad through the first waffle, and well, looks like just a little bit of shield. So Knightcrawler finally out of Death Mountain, but 20 minutes behind probably at this point.
Oh, there's a potential upstab block.
Ooh.
We might have something here.
Oh boy. So RoseCitySaint going in not fully prepared, and we'll see if it ends up costing him, because RoseCitySaint might end up losing time in Great Palace, whereas Knightcrawler now, unfortunately, about a good 20 minutes behind, but at least over on the Eastern Continent at this point. So we'll see what he ends up doing here.
The thing is, depending on how desperate Knightcrawler is, because there's no doubt he's got to feel behind after all that. There's just no getting away from it. I would think I'm worried that Knightcrawler might end up making a similar decision to RoseCitySaint, is to just screw up stab. I need to go.
Well, it's upstab and RoseCitySaint finding another dead end. Ooh, he's out. Goodbye.
I think he's out of options. I think at the very least we need upstab.
So RoseCitySaint upstab blocked, and potentially even after that could be Thunderbird locked. So that puts the child in play because it leads to Thunder.
Yep.
And we're also going to have to find the town to acquire the upstab.
Which I suspect might be to the west of Naburu, because RoseCitySaint never went that way. Once he got the spell, he just kind of noped out, went straight to 3.
And the child could be in the spell tower of New Kasuto.
The child could be anywhere at this point.
Yeah, that's very true. Well, I mean, we know it's not in 2, 3, or 4. It could be 5.
Well, we don't know. We don't know about 4.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
We know it's not. We know it's not in 1, 2, or 3.
Okay, so 4, 5, and 6 are all potential options for where the child could be.
Mm-hmm.
We've not seen the spell tower.
Correct. We haven't seen Spectacle Rock, and there's 2 caves that I've now seen that there are 2 Hammerlock caves on the west, which I'm presuming to be P-Bag Cave and Magic Container Cave. There's the Water Tile, which we haven't seen yet. There's the other P-Bag Cave in the east. And there's the one other item on Maze Island.
Ah, right, yeah. Ooh. So we got all kinds of options here for our little wild goose, I should say wild child chase.
So I didn't see. Was this? I think Knightcrawler's in 5, isn't he?
Oh, RoseCitySaint. Yeah, meet the River Devil. I believe Knightcrawler's in 2, or is he in 5? I know.
Well, we know 2 is on Death Valley. I know Knightcrawler didn't go through that, so I think
No,
this
he's
is
on.
5.
He's on the bottom left palace on the east.
That's that's P5 then. But RoseCitySaint finds the water tile at least. Let's see what we got here, and it's another P bag.
Not even bothering to get it. He's just like, nope, no, thank you.
Yeah, with the next level at 2410, it's
The likelihood of up and A-ing before even getting there is far too high. Old Kasuto coming into play, but no reason to be there.
Yep, we've had the spell from that place to begin with, and there's Naburu, which we've already seen. That's a pass-through. Ah, this has to be it.
Found it.
And one nice thing about about these flags, we have the hints also include the spell items. So once RoseCitySaint can talk to the person at the that would give him the spell, and we'll find out exactly where the child is.
Now, do you think RoseCitySaint goes that route?
If he wants Thunder, he
That's
the best. That's the he wants.
RoseCitySaint picking up Upstab, not Thunder.
Well, yeah, but at the very least, I would be surprised if he didn't check the hint for where the lost child is. 'Cause that's guaranteed.
No, it's just I guess it got marked on RoseCitySaint's tracker that he had.
Oh,
Thunder.
that was my bad thing. So. And it's
Guma,
in P5.
5.
It's in P5.
Oh, so Knightcrawler, if he fishes out the item here, he's back in business.
Yeah.
Well, potentially back in business, because that will give him Thunder.
No, he finds Guma first. Is that... at life 4, Guma's gonna hurt.
Well, attack 6 seems to be doing some work on Guma here, so...
And RoseCitySaint is saying, no thanks, I'm gonna see if Thunder's... I'm gonna try and do this without beating T-Bird.
Well, Knightcrawler dunking the crystal. So, let's see.
That's gonna be... That's attack 7 that he's getting.
Yeah. So we're getting attack 7. And we're going to continue back into Palace 5 to find that child.
Yeah, he's digging.
Going back to the left after beating a boss means we're looking for an item.
Mm-hmm.
Going to the right.
Does he know that this could be very, very good for him?
Well, RoseCitySaint's going to head back over to where he was Upstab blocked, now that he has Upstab in hand.
Yep.
If we find the Thunderbird immediately behind the Upstab, that's going to send RoseCitySaint packing from Great Palace a second time.
That's never a good feeling, having to basically triple dip GP just because of the information.
Oh no, Knightcrawler's out.
Oof, okay, he's heading elsewhere. He's heading into P3. So sees that it's P3.
Out.
Well, oh boy.
Doesn't seem to be... Well, looked like he tried to get around the Valley of... Not interested in the Valley of Death at all. He has 2 palaces right there, and at this point, I would think you're so far behind, you just kind of gotta YOLO it at this point.
Well, he's also missing the glove still, so he might be a little wary about that.
Very true. The glove was in...
It was in Nukasudo.
Okay. Oh, that's right. The jar item.
Yep.
So, Knightcrawler, I believe, is on 6, so that will give him the glove if he goes into Nukasudo, which is right there.
Yep.
Ooh, opting to go into Maze Island first, just to reset the encounters.
Yeah, just to reset things.
So, Knightcrawler, you, sir, get the glove.
I'm starting to wonder if maybe he was glove blocked out of 5.
That could be. But now this should enable him to do all of the requisite palaces, and potentially the item in 5 will be a requisite. But Knightcrawler's going to pick up fire.
Oh boy.
No.
There it is.
Wow, that's RoseCitySaint's third whammy. Oh no.
Oh boy.
Off to Palace 5 with you, big boy.
Yep.
So Knightcrawler gonna find fire, gonna check it, gonna get debated. He'll learn its reflect, which will be of no value to him. Oh, he's not even checking the spell tower. Oh, there he goes, turned around.
Yeah, 'cause you never know. It's never a bad idea to check it at least.
Yep, so confirmed. Not life, not fairy, not spell. So for Knightcrawler, it could potentially be reflect or thunder. And he's going to get the bad news in short order here, is RoseCitySaint making his way back to the Eastern Continent.
I don't know if he got the hint about the hammer being in Maze Island. But it looks like he's going to be digging for items here. And there's our first one. And there it
Found
is.
it. So Knightcrawler's going to be able to whack the hammer with the hammer.
And there's... No, that's the same one.
Yep, same one. Decided, no, I'm not interested in too much more exploration here. Well, no, he's going to go for it. But Knightcrawler's going to have to complete some palaces, and pronto, because RoseCitySaint is in Palace 5. He can get to the child once he finds it, and that will put RoseCitySaint into Great Palace for keeps.
And that was another magic container for Knightcrawler.
Now, unfortunate, but that's both items, so that should put him immediately into Palace 4 here.
Yep. And since he didn't check Valley of Death, then he'll know that's P2.
So, unfortunately for Knightcrawler, he's going to have to go back into Palace 5 to fish out the child. But this is pretty much a free palace. Knightcrawler hopefully doesn't bother finding the item in here, but he would have no way to know this.
Yeah. Until he finds Darunia and gets the hint, he's not going to know the significance that P5 has.
Well, he's picked up the glove and the hammer since he was in there last, but looks like Magic 4 going to be picked up here. So we'll see if Knightcrawler goes item hunting, or... Oh, looks like he might be exiting to the right, so... Knightcrawler making the correct call.
Yep.
just noping out of Maze Island. So we'll see if he ends up into the town to find the child for Thunder. RoseCitySaint in Palace 5, needing to find the item, which is the child, which will lead to Thunder, which will allow him to remove the final block in Great Palace, which is Thunderbird.
And Knightcrawler finds Darunia and will get his information regarding the child momentarily.
Well, I'm not sure if he knows he needs the child yet.
Well, he hasn't. He found Darunia before he found Naburu, so he doesn't know. For him, it's still 50-50.
So he'll end up finding Darunia at some point, but it looks like he's continuing on.
I mean, he's in Darunia now. He's talking about. I'm sure you meant Naburu.
Yes, I'm sorry. This is what happens when you get old. You confuse things.
You don't have to be old. You don't have to be old to be confused by things.
Well, when it comes to Randomizer, that's just like.
Right, so Knightcrawler now knows that the child's in 5. He's about to find Naburu and get the bad news that.
He needs to go back into 5 for the child, which should then put him straight into Palace 3 to finish his 4 palaces. So, Knightcrawler, I see a way in which he can try to claw his way back into this. However, RoseCitySaint has an advantage in that he's explored Great Palace to the point that I believe he knows what is the correct path. But this is unfortunately the whammy for Knightcrawler. No big bucks and a free spin here.
Mm-hmm. Don't even get the Flocati rug.
No. No. Straight whammy for Knightcrawler, so...
You know, RoseCitySaint picking up keys so that he can actually get through here without... Oh, and gets a key drop as well.
Now, that was pretty nice. So, Knightcrawler has to be headed back down toward where Palace 3 and 5 are. I can only assume that he would do both of these palaces as quickly as possible.
Well, he's already beaten 5. He just has to get the child out of there. But yes, he still does have to get through 3.
So does RoseCitySaint, but look how that's working out for him so far. Not real well.
The difference is RoseCitySaint's not even looking for Guma.
Very true. But this is a mess for RoseCitySaint, and Knightcrawler I don't think is going to be in a much better situation. Both have to find the child in Palace 5.
And RoseCitySaint's found the item room, but he's short on keys, so he's going to take a quick death here to recharge his magic.
Oh, he's not even going to hug the Iron Knuckle. Oh, my God. Show a little bit of love here. Come on.
The blue Iron Knuckles aren't much for hugs.
Fair point. But it looks like RoseCitySaint now has the child.
Yep.
Knightcrawler back into Palace 5. So, going to fish out the child before finishing the last remaining palace that he needs.
Yeah, he's not going to assume that he's just not going to operate under the assumption that T-Bird's not required. And we know that's an accurate assumption. So I'm. Oh, okay. Yeah, RoseCitySaint still has to actually get the spell.
Yeah. Getting the child is step one. Delivering the child to get Thunder, that's a quite important step two.
Thankfully, Daruni is not that far away.
No. So RoseCitySaint already a good part of the way there. So even though it was, let's see, 42 minutes for us to go into...
Yeah, from RoseCitySaint's first entrance in Great Palace, yeah, thereabouts.
Yeah. So 20 minutes after, we've found ourselves an upstab block and a required Thunderbird.
Yep.
And then who knows what's going to happen after that. So...
Yeah, RoseCitySaint cannot feel good about this.
No. However, I'm pretty sure RoseCitySaint does not know that Knightcrawler had a bit of a time with finding the raft in Death Mountain. So...
Yeah, well, there's no way to know because our runners aren't allowed to screen snipe or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So Knightcrawler getting blocked by a fairy activation. All right. So after 2 false starts, RoseCitySaint should be into Great Palace for keeps at this point. Just short of 1 hour and 6 minutes in.
Yep. Only reason RoseCitySaint would have to leave would be if you felt the need to grind for levels, which, yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, RoseCitySaint on 566. I have supreme confidence that RoseCitySaint will have almost minimal to zero trouble with the Thunderbird fight, and it's just a matter of potentially navigating the drops that could be between Thunderbird and Dark Link, and that is speculation at best at this point. We've not seen a drop. It looks fairly linear for the progression in Great Palace so far.
Yeah, though we've seen the back end of a drop, like just to the right of the entrance is the end of the L7 drop, and Knightcrawler making his way through P5 a lot faster than RoseCitySaint did.
Well, Knightcrawler was in P5 previously, so
True.
I mean, it did give him the advantage of, okay, I know what could be the proper way. Oh no, Knightcrawler kind of, I don't know if this is a mistake or not. I mean, I guess having Thunder and being able to potentially cast it in Palace 3 or whatever palace he decides to do is not a bad thing.
I probably would have done 3 first, just because it's right there. Although I don't know if he ever checked to see if that was 3 or 6. So he might
go back to 6. Oh, that's a possibility that he might go back to 6 and then go straight to the Great Palace afterward.
So going to 6 is not always the best idea, though. Sometimes it can be nice and short, but other times...
not so much. Yeah, I get you. I mean, to me, you're kind of right here. Why not do Palace 3? And then just kind of go for it. Well, RoseCitySaint having to play catch a fireball to throw away one of his lives. But I think that'll be the only one.
Yeah, Thunder's kind of expensive at 74.
Yeah, that's going to be the better part of 4.5 of his 5 blocks, or 6 worth of magic. So it looks like Knightcrawler noping out, so he's either forgotten that he's still got to dunk a gem.
I think so. Or
he's decided that the 3-6 palace that's down here is going to be his final destination. For the last palace, but
he's making a beeline for it.
Yeah, RoseCitySaint, another pretty straightforward and flawless Thunderbird fight. From our defending champion from last year, I expect, just about exactly that every time, and I think he's holding himself to that same standard.
Alright, so there wasn't that much to GP leading up to Thunderbird, so there's a heck of a lot more that GP can still throw at us.
Alright, so this is either the Rebenak that tells us it's the right way, or it's the item Rebenak.
It's not the item.
Okay.
The item one, you see there's an Iron Knuckle statue on the right side.
Okay. I knew there was a way to tell the difference between the two, I just couldn't remember what that was. So we may end up seeing a 3 or 4 screen Palace 6, or it could just go all kinds of ugly. But, RoseCitySaint, into a chicken and waffle room. Oh, Knightcrawler deciding that is not the way he wants to go. So, boy. So, RoseCitySaint trying to navigate his way through the chicken and waffle room as Knightcrawler's trying to find the boss, Barba, in Palace 6. So at this point right now, Knightcrawler is now a little over 6 minutes behind. He will not encounter any of the roadblocks that RoseCitySaint did. But with that said,
there's another dead end for RoseCitySaint.
Knightcrawler was about 20-25 minutes behind, which was almost entirely Knightcrawler spending in Death Mountain trying to find the raft to unlock the Eastern Continent.
Which ended up being about as bad as one might expect. And I think Knightcrawler just found the item room, and he's going to say no.
Ah, what a shame. I was kind of hoping that was Barba, but it looks like RoseCitySaint taking one of the drops and choosing to proceed onward. Oh, the Eon drop. Well, we're going to have to take that one, a dead end on the right side of Eon drop room.
So that was a one-way drop that led to this, and there's the other one. So I think RoseCitySaint's on the right track. But of course, the GP is not quite done with him yet.
No, not at all, unfortunately. Another waffle room, but Knightcrawler finding a drop and then just going, yep, let's drop and drop and drop and drop. And we'll see if this leads to anything for Knightcrawler or if he's going to take the next elevator going down. Well, it looks like he has enough to cast Fairy, so looks like he'll be able to explore the other side of the...
Ooh, and RoseCitySaint just dropped right back to the beginning.
Wah, wah.
Oh, wow. That oof.
Oh, that's so bad. Knightcrawler gonna have to book an appointment at the sauna.
Oh, was that a dead end?
Yep.
Ouch.
So Knightcrawler gonna take the express elevator going down. Ooh, out of keys at this point, so that's gonna be his magic. So if Barba isn't on the other side of this room, looks like we're gonna have another trip to the sauna in Knightcrawler's future.
Or an up A.
Oh, yeah, that too. I would assume that he'd want to drop down one more time, but you never know if, Knightcrawler might decide that the up and A is going to be, quicker to get back to where he was.
Knightcrawler taking advantage of having that attack 7, just mowing through everything in his path.
I'm actually surprised he stopped to battle the Iron Knuckle, but Knightcrawler kind of, looking to see if he could find a magic jar. It looked like, there's Barba's room.
And there's Barba.
Alright, so I expect Knightcrawler to jackhammer here. Oh, he doesn't have enough to cast jump, so looks like the traditional way of doing things.
And with attack 7, this should go pretty quick.
Yeah, he went from half life to dead in 4 shots, so that did go rather quickly. So Palace 6 out of the way. RoseCitySaint back to Thunderbird. So Knightcrawler potentially only a few minutes behind at this point, as RoseCitySaint tries to sort things out. This is gone from what was a potential 30-minute plus advantage down to just a couple minutes at this point. Knightcrawler now into the Great Palace at 1:16:30.
Given how much GP RoseCitySaint has explored, I think he has a pretty good idea of where he has to go.
Oh, don't get me wrong, Knightcrawler definitely has some work to do ahead of him, but with things as they are, if RoseCitySaint, continues to find the wrong path against, Knightcrawler just happening upon going the right way straight away, he won't have to exit out, whereas RoseCitySaint's been rejected twice through Upstab and Thunder, which Knightcrawler has both, but unfortunately...
RoseCitySaint finds Dark Link.
Yeah, it looks like the fourth whammy for Knightcrawler, and he's going to be out of this game. RoseCitySaint pretty much full health against Dark Link. This RoseCitySaint should be in a position to move on here and take on Buzz Thunder in the third place match.
And with that, RoseCitySaint finishes in first place with an official SRL time of 1:17:56. GG.
Yeah, get those GGs in the chat, boys. Knightcrawler, unfortunately, finishing in fourth place overall in the Max Rando tournament, as this loss does eliminate him. All that remain are RoseCitySaint, our defending champion. His next obstacle to defending his crown in Buzz Thunder in the Losers Bracket Finals. And then awaiting the winner of that match is Trails in the Grand Finals. So potentially 3 more matches left in the Max Rando tournament. We're starting to get to the very end of things here.
And with those 3 left to play. Those are gonna be some hype matches for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
And meanwhile, the Knightcrawler finishing in 4th place, that's really nothing to be ashamed of, especially when you're having competition the caliber is what we've seen here.
Well, I mean, look at who's finishing ahead of you. I mean, the defending champion RoseCitySaint, Trails, our number 1, or let's see, our number 2 seed. And
Hello.
Buzz Thunder, I believe, was our number 1 seed as we were being joined in the booth with RoseCitySaint.
Hi, yeah, that was interesting seed. I think we can all agree the story about this one was the 2 boulder block caves in the overworld.
Well, I know what the story was. Unfortunately, it didn't involve you getting stuck in a particular place for over half an hour.
Oh, let me guess, Death Mountain?
Ah,
Death
ding,
Mountain.
ding, 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 ding. Correct answer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I got super lucky when I got the raft. It was like the 2nd or 3rd cave I went in. So
Yeah.
I felt like I was like, oh man, I have this one crushed. I am going to annihilate him. And then when I had to re-enter GP for a 2nd and 3rd time, I'm like, okay, maybe not. This is not because I figured he would probably have Thunder and Upstab, and I'm like, well, any advantage I had with that quick raft has quickly been pissed away. So yeah, I went from cocky to downright nervous at the end.
I could tell. I could see your face on your camera.
Oh, you were looking at my face. Yeah.
Well,
I
on the
was not- I
commentary stream, we can see your face. I don't believe it comes through on the restream.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, and I wasn't
So-
seeing that because I kind of had my own tracker in that general area, so just keeping track of where things
So
were on my own.
You know, I don't want to really say anything about it, but I could tell that I'm like, okay, RoseCitySaint has just been demoralized a little bit when he found the upstab block, and it's like, well, all right, that's the only way he can go. So yeah, now it's back to go find the town, which isn't that big of a deal. But then, of course, it's leading right into the Thunderbird fight, and oh no, he doesn't have Thunder.
Meanwhile, Knightcrawler has reached the Thunderbird fight.
Yeah, so I think Knightcrawler just wants to, finish this one out. I don't blame him. It will be the last match he gets to play here in the Max Rando tournament, so definitely no shame for finishing things out. I believe RoseCitySaint, you back with us here?
Yeah. Sorry, I must have dropped for a second. Just yeah, that was an unbelievable sequence. I guess if there was a little bit of mercy in it, it was that you didn't have to do a bunch of exploring in order to find the blocks. They were both sort of straight away, although they were a little bit deep. This was a lengthy GP for the shortened GP flags being turned on. So.
And of course, you ended up digging a good ways in, only to find a drop that took you right back to the start.
Oh yeah, and I knew there were 2 drops that were doom, and I didn't even want to take the first one. You saw me check the room below it, and I took the first one and said, oh, okay, I lucked out. I'm like, now there's a 1 in 3 chance that another drop would be helpful. And then I was forced into another one, and then I couldn't believe my good fortune when the second one worked out good, and I said, okay, no more drops now, no matter what. And then you're forced into another drop. And it wasn't even the merciful one. If it had been the Trails room, at least you're several rooms into GP. It was the other frickin' one that was before the start. So,
Oh, the Eon drop was what led you back to the start, wasn't it?
well, yeah, Eon led to one other drop, and then that other drop forced you into the crappy drop. Yeah. It was just a miracle the way this GP was constructed for this seed.
So, even after being rebuffed out of GP, how did you feel when you, as Knightcrawler reaches Dark Link, taking the quick path, I guess, how did it feel when you found out where the child was?
Oh, I was just glad that I remembered to check the location of the child when I got upstabbed. If I hadn't have done that, I would have been in very bad trouble.
Because I would think P5 would have been the last place you check.
Oh yeah, and I would not have started checking blind. I would have just made another beeline to Darunia and gotten the location. But yeah, that was. If you've ever played, I think it's Spirit Tracks or Phantom Hourglass, right?
Wow.
For the DS, that's kind of like how this GP felt for me.
Not that I want to cut you off here, but Knightcrawler finishing up 1 hour 24 minutes 7 seconds. So it only took Knightcrawler the better part of about 7 minutes in Great Palace. Unfortunately, a little bit of time elsewhere.
Yo.
And we have Knightcrawler in the booth. GG.
Thanks. I kind of feel bad because I would have had that if I had listened to my instincts and gotten the item out of P5. Oh well.
I think the bigger thing was you getting turned around about 6 different ways in Death Mountain.
Sure, I think I spent 15 or more
Yeah, higher.
in Death Mountain. Yeah. Well, I mean, it was one hole. You always have a hard time finding that one hole,
Sometimes. That was. I mean, I yeah. Listen, Nightcrawler. I mean, I had a hell of a time at the end of this game. I really killed the first half of this game. There was no question. My first entry into GP was good. I think it was less than 40 minutes or whatever.
What?
And then
I think it was around like 41, 42. Yeah.
Yeah, it was about, I think,
I didn't have
42-15 your first time in.
Yeah, I got the raft right away. I got very lucky in Death Mountain, but I didn't have upstab or thunder, and so I had to slog my way through. You find the upstab block, you frickin' leave. You come back, you clear the upstab block, you find T-Bird, and then after I had to slog through back, kill T-Bird, and then I went through. On that trip, I also then found a loop very, very deep. I went up at the fairy room instead of down, which brought me to a series of drops, which brought me back to the beginning. So I had to go through the entirety of GP a 4th time.
Wow. Yeah. It's sad because I made all the right calls and I just didn't.
Yeah, it was Death Mountain that did you in. To be perfectly honest with you.
Pretty much, yeah.
I thought I had checked that cave like 2 or 3 times, but I guess I hadn't. And so it was just one of those things where I was like, okay, I'll check this one again. But no, it was the first time I checked that one. Yeah, I knew going into this that, well, I knew when I started the race that I would probably have to make some, hard decisions in order to beat RCS. So, and when I first hit GP, I had a good feeling about it, but I was like, I'm not gonna go to that first. I'm gonna see if I'm gonna do the logical stuff. I'm gonna clear everything else first, and then it turned out that it was between GP or P6, which at the time I didn't know if it was P3 or P6 because I didn't go very far in. And I had a hint that the magic key was in P3. So if that palace was P3 instead of P6, it didn't have the raft. So there was a more than 50-50 chance with my knowledge that Death Mountain would have it. So I went hard into Death Mountain, and I knew after I'd put some time into it that if I second guessed myself, there was no way I was going to be able to come back. Like RCS would have done P3 or P6 already, and that would have been the end of it. So I had to keep going in Death Mountain, or else there was really no chance for me. So then I did P5 when I came across it. When I eventually got the raft and came across it because I knew I could beat it. And I had a feeling that I wanted to get the item out of P5. And I think I didn't have the glove yet.
No, you didn't.
Yeah. So I did P5 because I knew I could do it without the glove. And you never know when you're going to find the glove. So, and then I did Death Mountain because I knew it had the hammer from a hint. Okay. So that was the thing. I thought
you mean
maybe
Maze Island for the hammer.
Yeah. So I thought oh, maybe P5 has the hammer, and there's like 3 hammer blocked items that I know how to get to very easily. So if I don't find the glove, so then I was like, oh, but wait a second, no, the hint for the hammer is in Maze Island. So then once I realized that, I up and A'd out of P5, and that was the call that lost me the game, because once I got the second to last, once I narrowed it down to Darunia having Thunder, I knew I would have to make a gamble on Thunder being required too in order to beat RCS. So then that was pretty bad because I was like, oh damn it, it's in P5. The child is in P5, but. Hi. Sorry, I think I interrupted you, Melee?
I don't even remember what I was going to say anymore.
Yeah.
Although I was looking back at chat, Trails pretty much called it regarding where the child was.
Yeah. But before Knightcrawler joined the chat, I was just trying to make the point there that the the experience for me, it was like if you've ever played Phantom Hourglass. Where you have to go to the central tower, complete some, leave, go do a bunch of other stuff, and then you can go back in and go a little further this time, and then you have to leave again, get something else, come back, go further still, but forced to leave, and that was how I think more than half of the seed went for me.
That's irritating, huh?
It was it was crazy. Like I went from downright cocky with how lucky I got in Death Mountain to, absolutely sweating bullets my 4th time hiking through GP again.
Yeah, so when you saw that it was a 1 cave hammer cave, like a 1 entrance hammer cave, you knew you'd gotten pretty lucky right then.
Yeah, I know. I'd seen a lot of the entrances before I started diving, and I was just just lucky enough or whatever to recognize that 1 cave as something I didn't remember seeing the other end of.
And,
so that worked out good.
Spectral Rock was a 1 cave entrance too, and so I took a screenshot of the cave that led into that area in case I came back with a hammer.
Hey, smart move.
That is smart.
Thanks. But yeah, unfortunately, it didn't quite work out.
And we kind of figured before we found out where the child was that having the child be, say, at Spectacle Rock would have been a potential way for you to get back into it, since you had seen how to get there, and I don't think RCS did.
Yeah, they were both 1 entrance things. There was another cave past past Spectacle Rock, but it didn't go anywhere. It went to that strip on the north part of Death Mountain, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I mean, it does kind of suck that I feel like I made all the right calls and still lost, but I was making those calls entirely because I was playing against RCS and I knew that he was the best, and so the fact that he wins, still shouldn't be a surprise.
Well, I mean, you were making all the right calls. You just got unlucky. That sometimes that's all it amounts to in randomizers.
Yeah.
There were no winners here.
Besides the viewers, naturally.
I had a very easy time. I didn't encounter any blocks after. Well, I mean, I had some frustration with the child, but I was like, I didn't have to go back into that Great Palace multiple times.
Oh man! And you were lucky enough to go down at the fairy room and not have to hike back through it all over again. That was really irritating.
I always go down in the fairy room first because it's quicker than going up.
That's it. Well, yeah, it depends on the room, like what you have ahead of you. Like if you, in this case here, that's a good example, right? You go down and into a waffle room. Waffle rooms are a pain in the butt to hike through. Whereas if you went up, you're in the elevator for like 1 or 2 seconds longer, but you had a paperclip room, which are easier to walk through. So that's sort of how I determine what room I want to walk through.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much just I usually don't like see a room and then nope out of it. I usually see it through to the end and then backtrack if I have to.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. My up versus down theory is just based strictly on habit, and I don't think there's any reason why it works or doesn't work. It's just, going left versus right. There's strategy to that. Going up versus down, there's a lot less strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all have our habits.
Yeah.
On that note, I noticed that Knightcrawler, you were going heavy on the attack front. Even it looked like you were prepared to go for attack 8 if you wanted to. I believe you were at 7-3-4 at the end.
I could have if I did P1, because P1 was really short to get to the boss. So I was thinking, oh well, I'm pretty close to sword level. Maybe I'll just come back into P1 when I've got a hard level to get, and then I could have gotten attack 8. But honestly, like I knew I was going against RCS, so I couldn't afford to even take that 1 minute deviation for a level or something. I mean, 1 minute is a long time for a level. For attack 8, it's not a long time, but
not to mention when we saw that the dripper enemy was the Magos, so I think we're given 500. So if there was a grind to be had, you could have easily done it with those.
Yeah. By the time I saw those, I was already happy with my levels, and I paid them no mind.
Yeah, same here. I killed one because, I felt like it's right there.
I killed one because it got in my way.
It was 566.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was either 566 or 567.
Yeah, I think I was 766.
Yeah, the Knightcrawler's levels are always higher than everyone else's. He obviously has some sort of method for pumping up those levels without losing too much time. I don't usually condone spending any time on levels, but if you're going to, I guess, do it the Knightcrawler way. It's pretty fast.
Well, he set things up to get level 8 attack and, went from 7-3-4 and picked up a bunch of levels that way.
See, I didn't even notice that he had... All I saw was the attack 7, I didn't... I guess that must have been after placing the gem in 6.
Yeah, it was when he placed his last gem. I'm he's going for all the levels, but other stuff was happening, so I couldn't really bring it up.
Right, because I think that was about when RCS was finishing up, actually.
Yeah, unfortunately.
If anything, that sounds kind of like vanilla 80% strats, doesn't it? Or something like, or like all keys or something like.
Well, all keys.
Sure, go hard on attack power and go hard on attack power and use the last couple gems to shore up everything else.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't really invest in life, especially when I'm starting with 8 heart containers. Like, what do I need life levels for? I got life 2, and that was pretty good for me for like half an hour, 40 minutes or whatever, and I just got other levels because whatever. But I mean, if you can't win unless you gamble on yourself being good enough to win, and that means not assuming that you're going to take a ton of hits. And so I go for attack level because if you kill stuff faster, you move faster and you also level up faster. So it's like in StarCraft when you make a bunch of workers. That's the first thing you got to do instead of making like a bunch of units, because the workers get you more money, and then that gets you the ability to expand more, and that gets you the ability to make way more units than the other guy. It's that sort of mentality, I guess.
Well, it's not wrong. It's unfortunate that it didn't work out the way I think you were hoping it would.
Yeah, I mean, if fire turned out to be like Fire Thunder, then I'd just dump a bunch of stuff into that. But no, I think the levels did work out for me. That's never the issue, really. Also, I don't like having to kill. Sorry.
It looked like fire was linked with reflect, which it's
nice.
Cheaper, but you had reflect from the beginning.
Yeah,
so
that made me so sad that fire was linked to reflect. That was such a bummer. Obviously, you're hoping thunder, but then like my second hope was at least spell to grab the item while I was in town.
I checked for that too.
Yep.
As soon as I got it, I was like, well, I'll just go over the next screen. Yeah. I guess that's pretty much it for me. Like, yeah, I don't really go for life levels that often. I might go for magic levels sometimes, like if you need it, but we just started out so buff that I didn't really feel like we did.
Yeah, with the 8 containers and the shield spell and the life spell, you are feeling pretty buff at that point. And then with 4 gems, that's all you can take as many levels as you need to get a comfortable attack level. This one it never posed an issue in that regard.
Yeah. I guess I could have saved some time if I did P2 instead of P6. I think my P6 was pretty fast, but it was still a long P6.
Surprised you didn't go into P3, which was right next to P5.
I mean,
Well, I didn't have the glove yet, but I guess I could have done that when I was coming back down. I probably should have checked to see what it was.
We're talking about after you went back to 5 to get the child. You could have, although I guess you didn't know if that was 3 or 6 that was right next door.
Yeah, but that's a quick check. I should have done that. That would have saved me some time.
Because I was going, all right, you've got the glove, you've got the hammer now in hand because you picked them up. And then I went, all right, well, he's going to go into the palace right next to 5 and then go into 5 to get the child, and that should give him everything he needs. Get Thunder up and A out, and go into Great Palace. And then I guess you called the audible on me and went into a 6 instead. So I guess
fun
it is
6,
what it
though.
is. But
I usually don't like 6, but that one was all right. Like, it was fun. It was also long though. If I had gone into 3, I think things would have been closer. 3 can be really short.
RoseCitySaint went into 3 because he finished 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then unfortunately had to go into 5 after the fact.
Yeah.
And I believe you did 1, 5, 6 for your
4.
palaces.
Yeah, and 4.
Yeah, 1, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah. No, you're right. Doing 3 instead of 6 would have been a big help. I don't know if it would have been quite enough, but it may well have.
Well, I mean, RoseCitySaint did spend a half an hour in Great Palace, one way or another, getting things for it. But, you ended up spending about that same amount of time in Death Mountain. So that,
True.
They both kind of canceled each other out at the end of it. And it ended up being about, a 6-7 minute difference.
Yeah. I mean, he did finish considerably faster, but considering the way things worked out, that's still striking distance with just a few changes here.
Yeah, Max Rando is just a different animal too. There's so many more variables that whatever a 6-minute difference here is different than a 6-minute difference in standard is all I'm really trying to say.
I mean, I brought it up. I'm like, okay, Knightcrawler went in at, 42, or not 40, excuse me. Rose, you went in at like 42:15.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until about, I think, 1:17 something, an hour 17, where Knightcrawler went in, but he didn't have to go through all the hoops that you did.
Exactly.
Yeah, my GP was really fast.
And I mean, it took 7 minutes for Knightcrawler to go from Palace, finishing his last palace, 8 minutes to go from his last palace to finishing Great Palace, whereas I think it took you longer even after clearing the Thunderbird alone, never mind everything leading up to it.
Yeah, that was a fast and furious finish there from Knightcrawler. Yeah, I know how he feels, though, when you make the right calls. You're the one that came equipped, not me. And he didn't come away with the win. I mean, I know how I would feel.
But at the end of the day, I mean, God, it's a nightmare head. It's Buzz, Thunder, then Trails twice, right? Is that how?
Yeah.
That's what's ahead of me now.
That's what it would have to be. Yeah.
Well, with that.
Yeah, so what do you think, Knight? Gonna join me back in the booth for a couple of those if you get the chance?
Yeah, of course.
I have to admit, as I was finishing, even before I finished, I was thinking to myself, man, Knightcrawler would have fun if he were commentating this race, watching me do this, slip in and out of GP over and over.
I'm a bit of a sadist when it comes to watching racers.
Yeah, well, based on your GP, you wouldn't have even known anything was wrong. But
right.
if you watched back what happened to me, it was pretty hilarious, I'm sure.
Oh no! When I saw the upstab block, and when I saw the Thunderbird block, I was like, I know what took so long for RCS.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny though. I'm guessing like a lot of races you see people mirror each other, but it looks like we did pretty much the exact opposite as each other, and so that's always fun to see.
There was one other minor point of interest I wanted to point out too that happened to me. I don't know if it happened to you, but early in the game, while looking for Fairy Cave, I went in there looking for an enemy, to identify, or not, I'm sorry, not Fairy Cave, Heart Container Cave. I was looking for Heart Container Cave, and I couldn't find the enemy. The enemy wasn't there to help me identify it as Heart Container Cave, so I skipped it and I left, and then I found another cave that also didn't have an enemy, and that's because I killed the enemy, because during that same cycle, I had gone through Fairy Cave and killed all the enemies, and so that really posed a problem, and it was just like, just glad that I was veteran enough to know about killing enemies in Fairy Cave eliminates them from Heart Container Cave, because if that had happened to a less experienced runner, they would not have known what the hell end was up.
I didn't know that actually.
Yeah,
it's one of the strange bugs that can happen.
Wow.
They share memory or something like that, right? Right, RCS, something like that.
Yeah. If you up an A at any point, that kind of resets all that. But if you're during the same cycle without any up and A's, if you go through Fairy Cave and kill those things in the front room there, I'm actually, it would I guess it'd be the back room of Fairy Cave, and you then later find Heart Container Cave, that enemy won't be there.
Yeah, I had no use for Fairy Cave, so I didn't.
I shouldn't have either. I was stupid. I neglected to note the fact that you could use the water to walk around to the southern portion. Like, instead, I kind of just airheaded on that, and I took Fairy Cave instead, which led to the same place, I guess. No real harm done, but yeah, I took Fairy Cave.
In the first couple minutes, I forgot I had boots, and so I got to the edge where there was that water. I was like, man, when I get boots, this is where I'm going.
Yeah, that's exactly.
we noticed that one too.
When you play Max Rando, sometimes that happens to you. You'll start with equipment and then like forget that you started with it, and and then you say, "Oh no!" I mean, I lost the race like maybe a week or two ago because I didn't grab down stab the first time I was in Mito, and I had a castable fairy spell, so I hiked my rear end back there to cast fairy when I could have done it all along. It cost me 2 minutes, and that was the difference.
One nice thing is fairy started out pretty cheap, so
yes.
Yeah, that it was castable. I'm not sure if that's actually a nice thing. Let's actually bring that up a bit. If you see fairy straight away and it's castable, does it tell you that, all right, into the palaces you go, Flyboy?
Well, see, it doesn't matter if it's castable or not. The as long as you have it, it could force you into palaces.
Yeah, that's true. Although, like, let's just say if I can cast it once per bar, yeah, I'll do Palace 1. And if I have the glove, I would then try Palace 3. But yeah, like if I can only cast it once per bar and I don't have a key, I'm not going to attempt Palace 6 if I can avoid it.
Yeah. That's pretty good stuff.
On the west, we had Palace 1 and Palace 6, right?
Yep.
And everything in between on the east.
Well, to allude to what you just mentioned there about using fairy to go through these palaces, one of the most annoying scenarios you can get is when the game gives you fairy, expects you to do palaces, but it makes it really uncastable, and you have to stand there and grind to Magic 5 sometimes.
Yeah.
So you're right, to be able to cast the fairy that you're expected to. Like, that's just so aggravating. Why should anyone have to to that?
That's when those 500-point Mago Drippers are like...
Yeah.
Like water, dying thirsty man. It's like... That's when you'll see people grind, when they need to cast fairy. And
it comes up every now and then. Boy, is it aggravating.
Mm.
Oh, so it doesn't even matter if fairy is castable or not. It's solely on the fact that if you start with it, you're expected to, basically go right into a palace to then find another potential progression item.
It's assuming you have the ability, yes, and it's your responsibility to make it castable.
Hmm.
That's just disgusting.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Sometimes it can be, especially if you have just if there's like everything just rolled low on experience or something, and you're only seeing like bots and blue gorillas or whatever. Then
Oh yeah. Then you have to go find like Palace, 3 or something, and start grinding the 50-point iron knuckle statues at the entrance. Yeah, like
Oh no.
it's embarrassing, and it just makes you regret playing. And yeah, that's awful.
Oh no. All
Well,
right.
Good luck in the future races, RCS. I'll be rooting for someone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Flip
me
a
too.
coin.
Yeah. Hey,
So,
thanks.
Yeah, on that note, Knightcrawler, that's the end of the tournament for you. But fourth place is nothing to be ashamed of with the kind of talent we've had in this tournament.
Yeah, and it's not like it's not like there's a bunch of people who I know I could beat for sure up ahead. There's a bunch of people ahead that I would be like dreading facing. I'm glad I did as well as I did against RCS in this race.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely proved your mettle in this race. You've shown that you belong, and that was a good Final Four performance there. So
Yeah,
good job to you, and thank you for the good luck moving forward.
No worries.
Oh. Well, and on that note, yeah, well done, Knightcrawler. 4th place overall. Hopefully, I get my commentary partner back soon. But not that I don't enjoy doing commentary with anyone else. Hey.
But come on, yeah, I'm the best. So
But what do you think about the road ahead of you, RoseCitySaint? You got Buzz Thunder, and then potentially 2 with Trails.
Yeah, that's as
to
bad as it
defend your
gets.
title.
That's as hard as it gets. There's no margin for error. You can't lose a single one of them. I mean, the even if you give me 50-50 odds in all 3 matches, that's 50% of 50% of 50% is my chances of winning the tournament again. So it's you could put my mathematical chances of winning this tournament are 17%. So
12.5 actually.
okay. Oh, sorry. No, yeah, you're right. You're better at math than I am. Yeah, whatever half of 25 is. Yeah, there you go.
1 and 8.
Yeah, right. So
Yeah,
That's
you've got to flip a
pretty-
coin
pretty
3 times
terrible.
and guess right 3 times, so that's a 1 in 8 chance.
yeah, and
Any of the other paths will result in a new champion being crowned.
yeah, you're absolutely right, and they're both worthy too. So, yeah, no matter what happens at this point, yeah, you're not going to have a fluke winner. It's Trails is all set up here. It's his tournament to lose at this point, and we're just going to have to slug it out with Buzz first to see who gets to try to take it away from him.
Yeah,
Hey-
well, Buzz Thunder's the number 1 seed, Trails is the number 2, and I believe you are the number 4, as you
think I was
defeated
5.
the number 3 seed in Jay Coper in the previous round. So, Knightcrawler,
Oh, yeah.
you were the 5th seed. So,
Yeah. somehow I
you know,
done.
I mean,
decently.
surprisingly, with how, well, I hate to use the term, but it does fit here, random this tournament can be, with the seeds kind of holding serve, as it were. I'm actually impressed with everybody's performance up to this point, that, anything that could have gotten in your way, you've been able to overcome it.
And I've had a pretty big variety of different seed types, so I don't know about you, RCS. Have you had like the whole gamut so far?
Pretty much. I remember one. I don't remember who the opponent was, but I had one that was a very low survivability, where you started with 1 heart container, and I think I finished with 2. I've had another seed like this, where you are able to place all your gems and enter GP quickly, but then had to spend quite a bit of time searching for, I think it was Thunder, to finish. So yeah, I mean, I've really seen them all. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? As far as the brackets are concerned and what's ahead, I really want Zelda 2 to become a bigger thing with more racers. Like Zelda 1 and Zelda 3, they have so many racers and stuff like that. But at the same time, it'll be a little sad if and when that does happen, because you know, you get in a situation where you're, you know, in you know, you only get like a couple races in, and then you have like a whole huge array of extremely good racers to play against. Right now, you know, you've only got, I say only, but you've only got 3 races to win against really good players. But, you know, if we had a community like Zelda 1, could you imagine, you know, you'd be at this point only like halfway through the brackets, and you'd have monsters ahead of you then. So it'd be like you'd have to win like 8 games in a row at that point.
Oh yeah, you're asked to be a little more battle proven to work through one of those tournaments.
I'm going to do a little bit of speculation and kind of say that the Max Rando is kind of the exact opposite of an easy mode for Zelda 2. So
saying easy mode and Zelda 2 in the same sentence feels kind of wrong, though, doesn't it?
Well, that's why I say it's the exact opposite of what easy mode is. I mean, Zelda 2 is not a forgiving game to begin with, and then you know, kind of crank the difficulty meter up even more so. The barrier of entry is kind of a little too intimidating, perhaps.
Yeah.
I would say the skill floor is higher than Zelda 1, but honestly, Zelda 1 can be harder than Zelda 2. Like once you have, like, you know, Seeing in the Dark down in Zelda 2, and you know, you got, oh, this is how you beat, you know, Red Dyers, this is how you beat Blue Iron Knuckles. You're pretty much set. But I think that with those things taken care of, I think Zelda 1 randomizer is more challenging. I think Trails agrees with me on this, and RCS.
Yeah, I've tried the Zelda 1 randomizer, and I really suck at it. So I've never really gone back.
Yeah, it just requires a different skill set, I guess.
Yeah, when I realized I was having trouble screen scrolling, I said, okay, never mind.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever even tried that or the block clips or any of that stuff.
I mean, I can fairy feet somewhat decently, not even really well, but I can fairy feet, you know, under the right circumstance, I'll do it. But yeah, it didn't translate to me. I've never been able to pull off a screen scroll in Zelda 1, so I said that's the end of my Z1 Rando career.
Yeah, but you know, regardless of how difficult some people may think Zelda 2 is, it's still a joy to play Zelda 2. It moves so smoothly; it feels great to play, and so I don't care how hard it is. You know, if the difficulty ramps up, it's still going to be fun to play Zelda 2.
Yeah, fair enough. You know, but I think, you know, to me, if you want to build the community, you kind of have to ease them into it instead of going, oh, well, here's a seed like this where, you know, RoseCitySaint's side of things is just a half an hour of panic and frustration after, you know, going into the Great Palace thinking, okay, well, I might be able to finish this, and then, no.
I think it would be nice to be able to have like a tournament for people who've joined in the last year and a half or a year or something like that, but we just don't have enough players to do that.
And that is true. I mean, it is what it is, but, yeah, I guess...
Sorry, I was just going to say, when anyone shows even the least little bit of interest, like 10 of us are there in Discord to say, oh, if you have any questions, just ask me. I'll help you, you know. Everyone is so quick to help any newbie who expresses even the most remote interest, because we do so badly need new runners. And it's not for the faint of heart, but it's not as hard as people think it is from the outside.
I'd say the most surprising thing about the community is that there's not a lot of Zelda 2 vanilla runners that are Zelda 2 random runners, and vice versa. Trails is now into vanilla, but he went from rando to vanilla, but not a lot of people cross-pollinate like that in Zelda 2.
Yeah, that's what kind of keeps our community's number so small, is that the hardcore group of the Z2 all keys runners are generally not big rando players, and so this, you know, the core group of the Z2 rando players are just sort of a niche group that found it one way or another, just sort of by chance.
Yeah, even Eon, she was playing Rando when it first started up, but now she only plays a couple times a year, I think.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
usually even
That's a good example of a runner who, is big in the Z2 vanilla that, has tried the Rando, but, doesn't play routinely like some of the runners that you see in Zelda 1 are a little more into routinely playing Rando. So that's why it's just a smaller number of us that are running on a sort of a weekly basis or what have you.
Well, do you think it's actually beneficial then to turn around and say, okay, here's what would be basically like a beginner's set of flags? I mean, it would be almost trivial for, a better runner to play it under such circumstances, but you go, okay, here's what would be a beginner's flag set, try this to start, and ease people into the randomizer as they start to learn, the differences between randomizer compared to an all keys or 100% or whatever other
that would
category.
be helpful. That would be very helpful. If it helps anyone else who watches who just kind of thinks this looks neat and would like to give it a try, I would just like to point out that I've never ever in my life played Zelda 2 all keys. I am not a vanilla runner. I've only probably played and completed vanilla Zelda 2. Honestly, maybe about a half dozen times in my life.
Yeah, probably like 4 times for me.
Yeah, right. A few times in my childhood, and maybe 2 or 3 times as an adult, and that's it. Like you do not need to have like a career lifetime background in Zelda 2 to play this. I just learned the logic from watching old YouTube videos, and
you could watch us.
Yeah, that too, or watch us live.
Yeah.
First step, always grab up stab. And so anyhow, if you think this looks cool and you want to give it a try, do not let a lack of lifetime Z2 experience stop you. You can pick up the logic and play at a very, very high level without any real Zelda 2 experience.
And just there's a ton of options in Z2 Rando. Just you can make it so your attacks kill everything in one hit, your magic's free, and you're invincible.
Once upon a time we had in the presets, we had flags that were even easier than Swiss. I think they were called beginner flags that started you with things like the shield spell and the life spell and down stab and the...
Yeah.
Well, I think we lost him again. RoseCitySaint kind of bounced out mid-sentence there, but...
Bouncing overs actually have the randomizer up, but there is actually a beginner's flags. It starts you with a candle and life spell. Starts you with down stab. Starts you with high attack, low spell cost, high defense. It's definitely an interesting flag set to as a good jumping off point at the very least.
Oh, there he is. Found him again.
Yeah, sorry. That happens to me on occasion. It must be on my end, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah. And I was just saying, I was looking at the Rando. There is actually beginner's flags, and you start with a candle and life spell.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you want to do. I was just saying, just make the flags as forgiving as possible, and then start taking away the comforts as you gain experience.
It would be interesting if Dig Shake could make continents smaller, like say 25% smaller, 50% smaller.
Like they do in the like Dragon Warriors 2, 3, and 4 randomizer. There's a setting for that.
Take half the caves out of Hammer Cave. Take half the encounters out of Maze Island. Something like
that
would
make for an interesting flag. Yeah, I mean, I also wouldn't as a challenge flag if you're playing a more experienced runner. I think I would enjoy playing against the bigger map.
Oh yeah, well that might not be possible on the NES.
Oh, sorry. I have no idea about these technical things you're speaking
of.
Well,
it's definitely, a suggestion that could be brought up.
Yeah, if Dig Shake and or my friend Lufia, who might still be listening to this, are paying attention, I think there's some very cool stuff we could get in the randomizer that would attract a lot of people.
I see cross product in chat mention putting 500 point bags in your drop pool. You can make everything in your drop pool 500 point P bags if you want.
Yep.
You can make it drop like every 4 enemies instead of every 6 enemies too, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You can make it rain 500 point bags if that floats your boat.
Or you can just have it be 500 point P bags, lives, and keys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
keys have their
having,
place.
Red potions would help a lot.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, the 500 point P bags help a lot early on, but then not so much once you start to get up to, level 6, level 7, where then it's like, oh my god, now I have to grind or potentially kill so many enemies to finally get, you'd need what? 8, 9, possibly 10 P bags to drop just to get a level up at that point.
Possibly more. I think my attack 8 was 7,000 experience, 7,200 experience. So that's 14 or 15 500 point P bags.
Yeah.
So pretty much at that point, if for anyone listening who's not aware, like the only way you're going to get attack 8 and still put up a good time is if you get it in a gym. You do not want to get that from anything else. Yeah. But Zelda 2 Randomizer is a lot of fun. I think a lot of people would enjoy it if they tried it out.
Yeah, and I won't be a jerk to you until your 3rd race.
Yeah, and if you want to race on easier flags on a weekly, we'll put on easier flags. Maybe not easy flags for like 5 months in a row, but but yeah, I guess that's about it, huh?
Yeah, I'm out of here, but thank you guys. I appreciate everything. Thank you for the commentary in the restream. And thank you, Knightcrawler. Good job.
Oh yeah, you too.
All right, that was RoseCitySaint. I believe Knightcrawler's still with us, but it looks like we're gonna pretty much close it down and call it a night.
Yeah. So looking towards what's coming up over the next day. At 9 o'clock Eastern, we have a double header of the Ocarina of Time Randomizer Standard EU Weekly and a race of the Ocarina of Time 3v3 multi-world tournament, losers bracket finals, which looks interesting. And at 2 o'clock Eastern, we have the Minish Cap Randomizer Weekly and a race of the Minish Cap tournament as well, which is also going on.
All right, well, we only have a couple races left. I believe sometime next week we will have RoseCitySaint and Buzz Thunder, followed by the winner of that match up against Trails, potentially twice. We'll see if anybody can actually take Trails down at this point. I believe he's not lost as of yet in this particular tournament.
I haven't seen what the records in Swiss are, but
Well, the number 2 seed, I would think, might have gone 4-0. If he went 3-1, then
yeah. For 2 seed, probably 4-0.
But we'll see what happens going forward. And I think with that, we're going to call it a night.
Yep.
One other thing to point out is the EU Weekly tomorrow is going to have some guy named Tresco restreamed.
Oh yeah,
Not sure if you've all heard of him.
Wasn't that one of the sub goals?
Indeed it was. The notes also say Void Kingdom will be there too, but I didn't hear about that, so we'll see tomorrow. Any final thoughts?
I hope it's not my final thought.
All right.
Well, thank you all for joining us, and have a good night then.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Have a nice night.